Ladies and gentlemen, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has just came out on the Nintendo Switch and everyone's freaking out, and you think to yourself, my god, how can I transport myself back to 2002, 2003, where I can relive those moments of Smash Bros. Melee and play with the controller that I loved oh so much back then? Well, ladies and gentlemen, PowerA, the third-party controller, has licensed the Nintendo Switch and has come out with what I like to think is just the Wavebird rebirthed. Today, we're going to review this. I am Adam Ronin, and as Shigeru Miyamoto once said about the GameCube controller, something something easy, something something good to play. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so when you pop this puppy out of the box, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to hold it in your grubby little hands and you're going to think, hey, this feels good. And then you're going to want to play with it. So you're going to turn your Switch and you're going to get into the pairing method, which is actually super easy, barely an inconvenience. You'll just go into your Switch menu, you're going to go to the grip and pairing order, and then you're going to just hold down on this button. It's going to blink for a second, you push down on both triggers, and boom, you are ready to rock. The Switch has always made this super easy, and that is no difference here. Super easy to pair up, and you are rocking and rolling. Now let's talk about the build and the comfortability here, because that is the most important thing, I think, when it comes to these controllers. Now we can, and maybe we'll touch on lag and stuff like that, but we're not going to go into super in-depth stuff. To us, the lag and the back and forth is just as good as the Joy-Cons are, so really the review of this controller is going to come down to the feel of it in your hands and just the overall experience in playing with it. So of course the first thing is the look of this controller is just slick. Now I have a super soft spot in my heart for the old Wavebird controllers that were on the GameCube, and this really evokes memories of that. It looks just like a GameCube controller, obviously with an added button and some differences on the face, but when you see this, it's just like it was on the Wii U when they had the Smash Bros. Controllers. This is a GameCube controller through and through. So of course on this you have 18 total buttons, including your sync button. Got the two bumpers, the triggers, your face buttons, your C-stick, which is important for Smash Brothers, because let's face it, this controller is aimed towards Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. When players are playing, because as you know, the Smash Brothers community is obsessed with Melee. Like, that's like their bread and butter, and of course when they play it on GameCube controllers. So with the newer Smash games, Nintendo's always trying to capitalize on that feel to grab that same audience. They came out with controllers in 2014 for Smash Bros. Wii U. No different here. This is touted as a Smash Bros. Ultimate controller, though you can use it for other games. You could play this, it's got all the proper Switch buttons, you can play Zelda with it, you can play Mario Brothers with it, feels fine with those games, but this is for Smash Bros. Ultimate through and through. So, you know, it's laid out for that. The controller really just speaks with Smash perfectly, with your attack button, your specials, your jump buttons, and then the C-stick functions for your Smash attacks. The D-pads over here. The only thing that, and I'd have to look at the original GameCube controllers and the Wavebird to really know for sure, and we'll pull those up in a comparison video we're going to do later on, but I feel like the D-pad is a little bit bigger, a little bit more functional on this, but I can't say off the top of my head at the time of this shooting. But feel-wise, everything is really good. We also picked up one of the wired controllers that's done by an additional third-party company that we're going to do a review on, and in the comparisons of those, this controller feels magical. It's as close to a GameCube controller as you're going to get. The face buttons feel great, the C-stick feels very C-sticky, if you will. Analog is good, D-pad is super good. I'm in love with the feel and the way the buttons press. So the only thing that I guess what I really want to point out in terms of what would be a quote-unquote gripe, but not really so, is just these shoulder buttons. I feel, and this we'll have to get into with the comparisons, is I feel like there's not quite enough give, and the travel between press and completion might differ significantly from the original GameCubes, but that could just be rose-colored glasses on with the original. Once we do our comparisons, we'll know for sure. But compared to the wired version of this controller that just came out from the Ultimate Company, it's light years better on this. They do feel good, and it's just barely a slight gripe, because I mean, blocking, if you are good enough to remember that there's a block button, which some of us in the room aren't, it's not bad. It functions as it should. I just wish that there was a little bit more give onto these buttons and a little bit more travel distance between press and completion. Really, the biggest discussion is this controller is designed for Super Smash Bros. But is it worth it for Super Smash Bros. For $49.99? Because if you're a competitive player, I always would recommend a wired connection. Of course, it depends on your method of play. Like if you are a Mortal Kombat player on NRS, you're generally a pad player, and those pads are always wireless. But of course, a lot of people play on fight sticks for other games, and those are wired, and that's very key to the situation. Like we did a review on the 8-bit Do wireless fight stick for the Switch, and the lag on there was so incredibly terrible that it just does not compute for competitive play. Here, though, I do find that the lag, without saying specifics, is almost completely unnoticeable. Like I said, very comparable to the Joy-Cons on the actual Switch. So it's really going to be up to you. Do you trust the wireless connectivity if you're going to be doing competitive? Or if you don't, then you might want to stick with a wired version of the controller, which we'll do a review on that as well. So the real question is, do you want to spend 50 bucks on this controller? There are several different color schemes that come to this. I, of course, bought the dark purple, dark blue, royal blue here because it reminds me so much of the GameCube, but there are different versions. There's the GameStop exclusive gold, there's the silver, which is very wave birdy. There's a lot of different things here, and I think that PowerA has put together a super good controller here for the market. $50, cheaper than the Joy-Cons, more expensive than the wired versions, but does have a much higher quality than the wired versions. I do think it is worth the purchase if you take your smashing seriously, and boy, do I. I also like the game too, though. The most important takeaway that I had from playing with this is I forget that it is a third-party controller, because the way it feels, the way it's packaged, and the presentation of it, and the connectivity, the ease of it, feels like a first-party Nintendo controller. It's only every now and then that I realize, I'm like, wait, this is actually a third-party controller. Gone are those days from the old days, like the old Mad Catz days, where your third-party controllers were like the big behemoth pieces of shit that you would give to your little brother and the designated player 2s. This is quality for a third party. It seems very first-party, which I think is the best takeaway you can have from this. But I want to know, did you pick it up? Are you playing with it? Let's talk about it in the comments below. I know it wasn't super in-depth. We will get into lag and comparisons in another video, comparing this to original GameCube controllers and its competitors by other companies for third-party stuff. We will talk about those, but this is worth the buy if it suits your needs, I think. But it doesn't matter what I think, it matters what you think. And I can only know that because my ears only percept sound, my eyes only percept words if you click the subscribe button and click the bell. Otherwise, you're invisible to me and I can't know what you think. So comment below. Reviews. Are you a Smash player? Did you pick up one of these? Are you playing on the Joy-Cons? Are you playing on the wired versions? Are you playing with your mind? Are you just staring at the screen and controlling Link with your mind? That's what I want to know. Gordy, play us out. Smash controller are fucking sick. You wanna play it and smash your friends. Deuces.